Hello, this is Daliso Chaponda here at home in my kitchen, which doubles as my office because I do not have an office. And essentially, what I'm doing is I'm doing some of my daily joke writing. Some people have expressed interest in how I come up with jokes. One of the things I do is I go through the news every day and I try to find 5 jokes. Now, these are not 5 good jokes. I find 5 things I want to talk about, then I expand on them for like an hour or two, which I won't do here, and then any which are really good I put into my shows that week, and then if they're very, very good, I keep doing them. A lot of subjects I talk about for 1 week and then they disappear. Other ones stay longer, like the joke I wrote the week of the royal wedding, I'm still doing now because it's working well. Anyway, I'm going to do today's news review where I go through articles and look for things I may want to talk about, and I will sort of give you tangents I may go on. I probably won't do the final jokes because rarely does it spring to my head fully formed. Today I am using the Times. I generally try to rotate which newspaper I look at. So I look at the Times, the Guardian, the Daily Mail. I try to look at very different sources. I look at the BBC website. I even look at another website like Breitbart, because I feel like if you look at different sources every day, you get a different sense. Anyway, this is not a funny video necessarily. This is more for people interested in the process, but funny things may come out. Okay, let's start. So the first thing I would say is a lot of stories you cannot make funny, right? A lot of them are very depressing. So what you have to do is just go past them. So there's a lot of depressing headlines. Usually the front page is usually there's nothing there for a comedian. It's all death and depression, which is not really my style. Okay, we've got Airbus preparing to leave, something to do with Brexit. I've done a lot of Brexit. Brexit's been milked a lot, and the other comedians better at it doing it, so I kind of leave that. Here is one which I may look into it. They are talking about how picking fruit is actually fun. Job seekers in the UK, they're trying to get more fruit pickers in the UK from, it's not actually, I'm going to put that as a maybe. So there's something about fruit picking. So the first thing I do before I even try to make things funny is I just make a list of which stories I may write something about. As I said, I'm going to, at the end of this process, have at least 5 workable things. Okay, the next one, something about Brexit. A lot of the beginning of the newspaper is about Brexit. Same-sex marriage, upskirt bill. I already did something funny about it last week, so this is probably just more fallout about that. I'm ignoring that. Ooh, this one's interesting. If you can see, it's a hitman stalked Goldfinger like an animal. Oh, okay, seems interesting because of the James Bond reference, but actually it's about stalking, which is actually a bit depressing, not really something I want to make jokes about. I'm flipping past a lot of pages because a lot of this is about Grenfell. A lot of the articles, as I said, do not strike my fancy to make humorous. Okay, maybe I should have done this beforehand and then come at the filming once I had already picked my stories. But it's more interesting, I think, if you see the actual process that I go through. A drunk passenger makes a Nazi salute on a plane. That's potentially interesting. Aha! Now this is one which I definitely am going to talk about. Essentially, Lord Sugar made a tweet that people are considering racist because he suggested that the Senegalese players looked like people he had seen at a beach in Marbella. I'm not really sure it was racist. I mean, it was very low level to me. It was an implication that black people look the same. Well, the Senegalese people look like other Senegalese people. Really, on a scale of 1 to 10, I put that at like a 4. It's not really that racist to me personally. So I may make fun of it just because I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to say, but I'm definitely going to talk about this because I think there's like a sliding scale. I mean, there's people like Roseanne tweeting, you know, someone looks like an ape. There's something like this, which is very low level. And then you've got actual horrible racism, which is people like Joe Marney, who was so upset Meghan Markle was entering the royal family, tweeting actually racist stuff. And so I'm always very interested in sort of what we consider worth outrage and what isn't worth outrage. I personally am not outraged by this at all. Maybe some of you are, but I don't really see it. I've had real racism happen to me. I don't worry about some low level, I look like other black people do, because I kind of do. Okay, next one. Also, I would, you know, compare a white bearded white man to Gandalf or something. Maybe there's a joke in that. Or if I actually do delve into it, I probably will find a way to go a bit more political, because people are more likely to be outraged over somebody's tweet than like unemployment or violence against black people or something like that. So my angle would probably be a way where I try to compare this outrage to people not being outraged over something happening to immigrants or something like that, which you know, a little bit of Googling should find me. Anyway, so that's now topic number one, which I will research. And those of you who are coming to the comedy show, which I do tonight at Hot Water in Liverpool, will hear the actual joke I do. So this is not the joke I'll do. I'm going to go through a few tangents. But topic number one, which will turn into a joke, is Alan Sugar racist treat. Okay? Supposedly, maybe racist. I may analyze whether I think it's not. I'm not offended by it. Okay, next one. What else do we have? Okay, stuff I'm not interested in. Dr. Opiate, again, maybe a little too depressing for comedy. As you see, a lot of this charity workers swapping Ebola drugs for sex. Now that is inherently amusing to me, but at the same time, it is very horrible. So again, something which I may not tread into, because I would need to tread into it very, very lightly. I just feel like, you know, if you're trading Ebola drugs for sex, what, you think this person's got Ebola? And actually, I should not touch it. You see, there's a lot of stuff where my comedy brain starts firing up, but then I'm like, no. This is a little bit too, you know, people are being exploited, and it's very hard to go into a subject where people are actually tangibly being exploited. Okay, next, game addiction disorder. That's mildly funny. I'm not interested. A lot of this is just flipping past lots of stories. Theresa May, cyber attacks, US diplomacy. I'm trying to do less American stuff because Trump is such a joke generator. Inevitably, every week, something of his is going to jump up, and I'm just trying to dial it down on the Trump. High levels of herpes. Herpes always is something which provides comedy. You see, high levels of herpes found in dementia victims. I'm not really sure about dementia stuff. Again, as you see, a lot of it is disqualifying stuff as possibly not funny. Okay, a mother signed over her home over to her son by accident. Okay, I think we've got a winner. You see that story there? A mother says she accidentally signed over her 600,000 pound house over to her son by accident. Wow, I wish this was my mother. My mother's mistakes are calling me my brother's name or something. That's a mistake. Signing off a 600,000 pound house. What a mistake. Okay, and then, oh my lord, later, this man, Mr. Parody, he tells his mother he's entitled to throw her out. Wait, she gives you the house, she signs over the house, and then you say you can now throw her out? This guy is a dick. For one thing, also not very appreciative. And then also, she also said that her son's 200,000 pound flat was bought. She bought him a 200,000 pound flat. She accidentally signed a 600,000 pound house to it, and he doesn't appreciate it. You know what? I think this mama, she's not been given a good child. I think she needs to become a sugar mama, and I am available. So if you, at the ripe old age of 77, would like youngish, okay, not youngish, like a late 30s toy boy, I am available. And so that is now story number 2, which I will develop because I think that is legitimately funny and horrific. You're a bad person. Mr. Parody. You need to appreciate your mama, or I will. Okay, a little bit offensive maybe that I am suggesting a Congress with a 77-year-old, but 77-year-olds need love too. Okay, next one. So we've got two stories. We've got Alan Sugar. We've got the story about the person. Okay, let's see what else we've got. There's a lot of stories in the newspaper, so I'm just sweeping past lots of them. Interesting. So Facebook's latest move is to start a print magazine. Okay, Facebook's is always interesting because it's in so many of our lives. And now they are calling the magazine Grow, and there is already a magazine which is a cannabis magazine which is also called Grow. So they're plagiarizing the name. So maybe I could do some joke where I imply that Grow should change their name to Facebook, or that's not really that funny. But there's inevitably going to be something funny which I can come up with where I just think about things which we associate with cannabis and things we associate with Facebook and compare them or contrast them. So it'll be things like saying that, cannabis makes you want to get the munchies, Facebook ads for chocolate chip cookies similarly create the munchies, that sort of thing. So I don't exactly how I'll do it, but I can definitely mine some jokes by looking at Facebook and cannabis and the magazine. Okay, you see sometimes the link is tenuous, but I'll make it. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And as I said, all I need is 5, and then that will be a good hour's writing. And then, okay, what else do we do? What else do we do? What else do we do? There are lots of pictures, pretty pictures, good for the soul. Great for the soul, but not good for joke writing. But so lots of pretty pictures. Love Island. Aha! This is now definitely an article which I think we found the next. Love Island's given me so many jokes. I wrote one a few weeks ago, which was that Love Island, they need to do a spin-off called Divorced Dad Island, which only airs every other week. I've previously said I want to get on Love Island. I could find love and citizenship. As you see, something like Love Island is exactly what is great to create humor from, because it's already inherently absurd. Okay, and yes, today, similarly, Sir Michael Winslow has said that, Sir Michael Wilshaw has said that he feels that Love Island is a sad reflection on the education system, because he has watched the contestants and feels they are uneducated and they cannot recall Shakespeare's line, "Oh Romeo, oh Romeo." Now, first of all, is this really the bar? Is looking at Love Island contestants a measure of how good the British education system is? I don't think that they were chosen because of their GCSE results. I don't think this is like saying that English cuisine is terrible after eating some Greggs. Okay, this is a bad example I used because English cuisine is indeed terrible, but you get my point. If I do want to serve into this, I'll find a better example which shows how absurd this person's logic is. And then also I could probably go off on a tangent of what well-educated Love Island would look like. Yes, and whether it would get good ratings at all, because that's not what we want to watch. We want to watch these people. That show is quite addictive, so they're doing something right. Okay, next one. So Love Island, topic 4. I need one more. So Love Island education, I need one more. And also you've got to understand, this is not all the joke writing I do. So essentially what I do when I'm in full joke writing mode, which I am on now because I'm writing next year's show while waiting, because my tour is on pause until August. You notice how I just kind of slipped it in. Buy tickets, people. I still got 20 more shows on my current tour, but I'm writing my next tour right now. So as I'm writing my next tour, I do 5 topical jokes like this every day. Then I use a random word generator to find 5 words that I want to write jokes about, and then I kind of look at my life and do a kind of diary sort of thing and try to find 5 things that in the last day have emotionally affected me. And of these 15 little sort of subjects I come up with, maybe 2 are worth trying, but the process of gathering them all is useful. Okay, next one. I'm looking for the final story. Cleese. John Cleese bites back over the lack of diversity in Monty Python, because some BBC executive criticized Monty Python because it featured 6 Oxbridge white blokes. Now, I'll tell you one thing which is very interesting. This, I'm not going to make a joke about it, but I do think that sometimes people who are well-meaning miss the point, right? Him criticizing Monty Python for having 6 white blokes in it is not the point. There's nothing wrong with having shows which have predominantly white cast or entirely white cast. I mean, like things like Friends, very funny, very popular. Seinfeld was predominantly white. In England, we've got everything from Monty Python to like the Blackadder. Think about everything. There are loads of things which have a white cast, and I do not think that the solution is to just start cramming like black characters into everything which we start producing now. It's not about a quota filling. It's that you want to have these shows, but you also want to have other representations, right? So it was fine for me when I was young, because you're watching Monty Python, you're laughing, you're watching Friends, you're laughing, but you're also watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and laughing. You're also watching Martin and laughing. So you just want equal representation. Now in the UK, the thing is that they're just less predominantly ethnic shows. I mean, there was Goodness Gracious Me, there was one or two others. So I don't think that the solution is to just start cramming lots of random white black peoples as tokens, like the BBC control. And I know he meant well, but he was saying that nowadays, if they were making a show like Monty Python, they would make sure they had 1 or 2 ethnic or minority people on the cast. And I see what you're saying, but I'm like, no. I mean, if a bunch of funny people come to you who've made a show and they're all white and it's a brilliant show, put it on, right? But similarly, also look for people like me, when we've created our own sketch show, have it on as well. You know, I don't want to be a token on a predominantly white show, but I'd love to have my own show as well, and I would have a token white person on too. So I'm accepting applications if you are white and somewhat talented to do my sketch show. Anyway, I did that rant. I may regret it in the future, but that was just my on the moment kind of thoughts about it. Okay, suicides, no funny in suicides. So I'm going past that, I am looking for the final thing to write about. Okay, again, most of this is not interesting. Suicide, jail, again, all films, rape scenes should be given an age rating of 18. Okay, again, I'm not going to do a joke about this, but I just want to talk about this. I am not sure about this. So they're saying that in the time of Me Too, they feel that all films featuring scenes of rape or sexual violence should be restricted to adults. And I'm not sure about that, because I'm not sure that you want to shield children from all images of sexual violence, because these are horrible things, horrible realities which happen. Now, it's one thing if it's gratuitous, but for example, a lot of sexual violence which you watch as a child can affect you and can teach you something. I remember watching Kids. Kids is this movie which is about rape, it's about HIV, it's about all these horrible things, but it's not glamorizing any of it. And in fact, I remember watching it and learning of things like date rape, you know, which, I don't know, I think you want young people not watch anything with sexual violence. You want them to watch the right things, and also you want to be able to discuss it with them afterwards. I am not a parent though, so this is me just talking out of my ass. Maybe I'm talking nonsense, maybe you'd rather protect them, but that's just my thought. I might find a way to talk about it in humor, not specifically on this. Okay, what else? Manhunt, that's not interesting. Peacock. The last one is very elusive. Trump, Putin, more Trump. I don't want more Trump. Gift of diplomat, Trump, so much Trump. Oh, it's because it's world news, so it's mostly Trump. Am I gonna have just 4 today? Aha, Melania, something about Melania. I may have to just go with the Trump. When in doubt, go with the Trump. No. Let's see. Trump is, Melania Trump was wearing an I don't really care, do you thing. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I'm sure every comedian has done it. So I'm going to ignore that and see if I can find a final one. You see, this is why I sometimes wish I had a researcher, because I could just write, they find the 5 stories, and then I just get off. This is going to be a very long video. I was hoping it was going to be short, but then again, nobody forced you to watch this. If you have lasted this long, I am very impressed, because this has not been my finest work. Okay, we've got people, potato polls. Come on, one more story. Sex abuse. Rhino farmer seeks cash. No. Algeria. Aha! We've got it. Final one here. So Algeria. Oh, sorry. So there. Algeria shuts the internet to thwart exam cheats. What? So they've got Algerian school pupils who have got such a reputation for cheating in exams by using the internet. I guess they bring in their phones and they Wikipedia the answers or something like that. Isn't that absurd? And there was a case last year when people were, oh wow, Lord, 300,000 pupils had to retake tests after last year. People had put the questions on the internet, and there was all sorts of cheating going on. Mobile phones have been banned from exam rooms. Well, I think they should have been anyway. But look, I think they're going the wrong way. I think my joke might be that instead of just shutting down all of the country's internet so that businesses suffer over some cheating kids, I think they need to turn it into a sting operation. Yeah, they need to start having lots and lots of websites putting up fake answers for the potential question. So if you Google, the first thing you find is not the right answer. So if they say something like, what is the capital of England, right? And then, okay, first of all, this would be a terrible exam question. I'm just going off the top of my head, but okay. Instead of having London as the #1 answer, you have Lilongwe as the #1 answer. And then if the dumb student, right, essentially Googles in his exam and he writes down the short answer, not only he writes down the wrong answer, not only do you know who has the wrong answer, you also know who was cheating. This, I've not really thought this through, but I think the humor may be there with a better example than London. Anyway, so now you know, these are my 5 topics which I'm going to elaborate on. None of the things which I've said are the joke, but I just wanted you to see how I sort of go through stories and decide which 5. And then the second thing I do is I look at 5, I have a random word generator, which is textfitzer.com. It's got a random word generator, and essentially you press generate random words, okay? And the first one was feet. And so I may look into the fact that I worry about getting diabetes because I'm slightly overweight and it's in my family, and you know, so I have foot paranoia, in that anytime I have a tingle, I'm like, is it the diabetes? Am I gonna have to lose a toe? You get foot paranoia. Like foot, very specific kind of hypochondria based on a fear of diabetes. That's one possibility. Okay, create, in other words, divinity. Divinity is a word which I am going to, something about God, something divinity. I'm not entirely sure where I'll go with that, but that's a very interesting thing to think about what's divine. The next one is junkyard, and you'll notice for this one, I do whatever comes up. It's not like the stories where I say yes or no, because the purpose of this one is to make my head stretch and think about things. So like junkyard, I'll start talking about, I remember watching Fraggle Rock and there was a big trash heap that spoke, and this was like a wise trash heap. And I don't know why my brain went there, but I'll jump on that tangent and see where it takes it. Okay, molecular, that's a tough one, but molecules are inherently funny because if you think about it, we've got like electrons spinning around, we've got protons, we've got neutrons. Again, you don't know how this is going to become a joke, but I can see it already. I'll look at the periodic table, I'll start thinking about just science. And final random word. Ooh, we've got Python. Python, which links with the thought of Monty Python. So maybe the last one will be a second path at that story. So now you have seen my first excursions as I look for a joke. And anyone who comes to my shows this week will see which ones make the cut.